What's good, everybody? My name is Mateo Toro. I'm a DP cinematographer based here on the East Coast. I want to bring you this update video of what it's been like owning a 10-year-old cinema camera, which is what you see right next to me right here, the Arri Alexa Mini. If you haven't seen my initial video when I first purchased it about 7 months ago, please go see that video. It'll give you so many factors on why I ended up going with this camera over so many other cinema cameras at the time, which was 7 months ago. A lot has changed. So many new cameras have come to the market, mirrorless and cinema cameras from all the big emerging and competing brands. But in this video, I want to really break down, one, the financials. Have I made money? Have I lost money owning a 10-year-old cinema camera like the Arri Alexa Mini? I'm going to go over the infamous question, have I been able to get bigger or better jobs because I own a camera like this? And then I want to go over the pros and the cons and just answer some of the questions that I've gotten from a ton of people all over the world messaging me about why did I decide to go with Arri Alexa Mini. So let's get into this update. About 7 months ago, I purchased my Arri Alexa Mini, which is a camera that you see right next to me. The main number one factor was this was going to be a financial investment for me. At the time, I was working on so many sets where the number one requested camera every time I would step onto set was an Arri Alexa Mini. Every director, every producer just understands what this camera can produce. They know its reliability. Obviously, they know its image quality. Editors love working with Arri footage. Colorists love working with Arri footage. So it just makes it one of the most in-demand cameras, specifically on the East Coast where I am. So I knew if I had invested and bought one of these cameras as an owner-operator, I would be now pocketing that rental income that other rental houses or other owner-operators were receiving. And in that video, I stated that if I rented it 30 times for an average of $500, I would recoup with my initial investment, which was again $17,000. I recouped that within 6 months. Now, the past 7 months, I brought this camera with me 44 times onto set. However, 7 of those I brought it on for free, whether it was a passion project or it was a music video where there wasn't enough camera package income to bring this camera paid onto the set. So I've brought it paid onto sets 37 times, which brings my grand total rental income for $18,500 within the past 7 months. But I recouped it within the first 6 months. Now I have another 5 months of just straight profit because I thought initially I was gonna have to recoup this within a year. Pretty crazy, but it just goes to show you that this camera, being 10 years old, almost 11 years old, is still one of the most in-demand cameras on the market. So if you're in the East Coast, you already know that. You never see a red on sale other than if it's for specialty reasons, for its higher frame rates, or Sony Venices, which I just have personally never used on any sets. However, I know it's a very highly in-demand camera as well. Now, the camera being recouped within 6 months, this puts me in a great financial position for the rest of the remainder of the year, of owning it within 12 months, or just if I want to keep it longer than that, everything moving forward from now, it's going to be profit. It's not going to be going towards recouping the investment. I didn't take out any loans. I bought it straight cash. I didn't want to finance a bigger camera at the time because I didn't want any loans or have to have monthly payments. And this is going to be really great for me because moving forward, I do eventually want to upgrade to the RA35 Extreme, but I'm not going to rush myself, and I'm going to allow myself to profit from this camera for the next, hopefully, another 12 months fully, and make another 18,000 or who knows, maybe a little bit more. And I can use that profit from this camera to put a deposit onto a RA35 Extreme, and then also put this camera towards that as well. And maybe only have to finance half, maybe a little less, of an Arri Alexa 35 Extreme, which is great. That's what you want these pieces of equipment to do for you, which is profit, just add another source of income that you can count on as an owner operator. And now you're just also like really adding much more revenue into yourself as a freelancer because you're getting your day rate, but then you're also getting a camera package rate every single time. Let's answer this infamous question that you right now as a viewer, I'm sure you're thinking of. If I own a camera like an Arri Alexa Mini, will it get me onto more jobs? Will it get me onto bigger jobs or better jobs? And quite frankly, if I'm being honest, I think the answer is yes. But it depends. I'm not gonna say you're gonna win every single job just because you have this camera, but I've had plenty of jobs where yes, I've been on the project because they knew I had an Arri Alexa Mini. A lot of big music videos that I did this year, that was the case. A lot of commercials, that was the case. If there was a producer or director last minute on their Instagram story, like, hey, I need a DP last minute who knows how to operate or who owns an Arri Alexa Mini, boom, I'm able to now engage with them, reply to them, and let them know that I'm available and they can consider me if they need to, because I have an Arri Alexa Mini. So I think the answer is yes, but it depends. It really just comes down to the fact that are you already a DP working in an industry and you're working on projects where this camera is being used on those projects to begin with, and they know that you have one to begin with, so it makes their job easier, because if the producer doesn't have to worry about bringing a PA or AC to go pick up a camera at a rental house and prep it, get media and get all the AKS and then bring it to set. It saves a lot of time and headache for the producer. They know they can just rely on you to bring the camera, and now you get that rental package income as well. Let's go over some of the pros and cons of being an owner operator of a cinema camera like an Arri Alexa Mini. I think the first pro is pretty simple, pretty much stated it already. You can now toss your name into the hat for producers and directors, where if they need a DP that owns a Arri Alexa Mini or at least knows how to operate it, you're now in that pool. You're now being considered. They can look at your reel, they can look at your portfolio, and they can look at your equipment list and know that this is someone that can bring an entire package with them, know how to operate it, know how to light with it, and is going to be able to bring the project to life. So it's just going to allow you to now, again, be considered for those projects where this camera would be used to begin with. Another pro is that being an owner operator is, I own an Arri Alexa Mini. If I want to bring this camera onto a set for free, just because I want to bring the best image quality possible to that project, I can do so. I don't have to worry about going to a rental house. I personally live about an hour and a half to my closest rental house. I'm in a small town. I don't live in New York or Philly, but those are the markets I work with the most. My personal scenario, I don't have time to go to this rental house to pick up a camera, rent it to begin with, to go work on a passion project. It just would kill so much time to have to go pick it up, then later go drop it off. So the pro of being an owner operator is that anytime I want to bring this camera to set, I can. And even if there is no camera package rate, if I want to just get the best image quality and bring it to that production, I know I can bring this camera because I own it. The reliability cannot be overstated. This camera does not overheat. This camera doesn't glitch. This is a 10-year-old, again, 11-year-old camera. Mine has about 6,400 hours, so it definitely has some use. It wasn't a brand new Arri Alexa Mini whatsoever, but it's so reliable. I've seen so many videos where people talk about these new cinema cameras they're buying and they're glitching, or they're powering off, or they're doing random things that you don't ever want a cinema camera to be doing, because these are products you need them to work constantly every single time you step onto set, and you need that assurance for the producer and the director that they're not gonna be worried about a camera breaking on them in the middle of a production. So the reliability cannot be overstated. The main con I can think of owning an Arri Alexa Mini is really something that goes for many high-tier cinema cameras. If you're an owner or operator, you're now responsible for maintaining the cinema camera. So that means every time you bring it to set, they're gonna expect you to have all the accessories you need for the production, and then when you wrap that production, you're gonna be the one responsible for making sure that all your accessories and your media and everything that you brought with you is gonna leave with you every single time. You're not losing any accessories or media, because all those little small accessories and media are very expensive. Though I initially invested $17,000 into the camera body and I got 3 CFast cards, I've probably spent another $3,000 in additional accessories and media. I bought extra 3 CFast cards, so I have 6 total, 256 gigabyte CFast cards. I ended up purchasing the power splitter box. I only had a regular like V-mount box. I bought an additional 4 V200 B-Bob V-mount batteries, so I bought, those are expensive. So it adds up. Those little accessories, all the nicks and bobs that you need for operating and using it on different configurations, like being the owner operator, that's just up to me to have those accessories at a certain point, because you don't want to just be constantly renting those small little items that you're going to be like, I just need to buy it at some point. Like, you have to put all those things into consideration. Now your camera support has to be beefier, your tripod has to be beefier, you need more batteries, you need more media, and when it comes to a camera like this, all that gets more expensive. I'll do a small Q&A just to answer some of the most common questions I've gotten from my initial YouTube video. So many DPs and videographers have messaged me and DM'd me from all over the world because they're considering a camera like this. So let's answer some of the most common ones that I got. Hey bro, how do you go about with regards to setting up your prices for renting out your gear? What calculations do you use? This is a good question because it's part of the formula I use to understand how many rentals I needed to recoup my investment. So I knew I needed 30 rentals at an average price of $500 to recoup my $17,000. And I worked backwards with those numbers to know that if I bring it to set 30 times, I'll be able to make my investment back. And that's very important. You have to treat this as an investment. You're an owner operator now. You have to treat this as just another part of your business. So what I did was I just quickly looked at the rental houses that I was already going as a DP and renting cinema cameras from. And the Arri Alexa Mini, believe it or not, has a much higher price tag than $500 to rent it. Usually what I see is $1,000 to $1,200. I personally haven't got that much of a rental package income or rate. When I bring it to set, the highest I've gotten is about $850. But I knew that if I just average $500 30 times, I'd get my investment. So I just encourage you to go look at your local rental houses, see what they're charging for the camera that you're looking to purchase. And then from there, you could just discount it, go just a little bit lower, undercut them. That way, it makes it easier for you to bring your camera to set every single time, and the producer doesn't have to go to the rental house themselves. What kind of lenses are you using for your Arri Alexa Mini? This is a really good question, simply for the fact that I think it's something you need to consider before you buy a cinema camera. You need to consider, are you gonna hop onto a set and bring your new cinema camera with no cinema lenses? Are you gonna have access to glass? If the production doesn't have a rate for a camera package to bring PL mount lenses or whatever specific lenses you need for your cinema camera, how are you going to shoot anything? So I think you really need to consider that factor as well. Is if you bring your camera and you're thinking you're going to get like $500 to $1,000 to bring this camera to set, but maybe the producer only has $500 max just for your camera package rate. Now they have to figure out, all right, well, you're bringing your camera, but we still need to source you glass. And we only have $500, and a full set can easily be $500 starting price for even just a small set of cinema lenses. Before I bought my Arri Alexa Mini, I already had invested into a set of the Zeofilm R lenses, so I had a full set of PL mount lenses that I brought with me fairly quite often onto the sets along with my Arri Alexa Mini. But I love using a ton of different pieces of glass. I love Lomo Super Speeds, those are some of my favorites, Super 35 cinema lenses. Obviously, I love Zeiss Super Speeds, my favorite all-time cinema lenses. I really love Canon's rangefinders. I love lower contrast on single coat lenses, specifically on the A-Lift3 sensor. I think it's the most perfect match made in heaven between a sensor and a pair of some glass. I want to understand if the lack of 4K does not become a problem. That's a good question because, again, this is a camera going on 11 years old, so while it does have 4K UHD, it's actually upscaled from the sensor, so it's something you need to consider if you're working on projects that have a lot of VFX. Maybe this isn't the best camera to work on projects that have intensive VFX because they would love to have more resolution, 6K, 8K, so they're able to punch in post and stabilize the VFX footage. I haven't done many projects where I've needed VFX with my Arri Alexa Mini. I've used the 35 or the LF for more VFX intensive projects, but personally it's never been a problem to bring this camera because it doesn't have like a true 4K or 6K or 8K that other cameras have at this point. Most of the projects where I'm bringing this on, they know exactly what they're getting when I bring this camera, so it's not really a deal breaker whatsoever owning this camera, not having 6K or 8K or 12K. Is it easy to film alone with this camera? The answer is yes. I've done it a few times, not saying I'd highly recommend it, but that's just because I have utmost faith in myself as an operator, and I also own the camera and I use it so often that I know how to easily operate it and get it to work and pull my own focus for small movements on a dolly or just handheld. But if I'm doing full-blown productions, like, I don't want to be operating obviously this camera by myself, and that goes for any big cinema camera. Would you have considered the Blackmagic Ursa Cine 12K LF instead? No. I would never consider a Blackmagic camera over an Arri camera, and that's just quite frankly the truth. I know it sounds a little harsh. I know a lot of people on YouTube love Blackmagic, and they're obviously doing amazing things, pushing the boundaries and making cameras much more affordable, and I think other manufacturers are seeing that. but they're just not reliable. I mean, I've seen so many YouTube videos breaking down the Ursa 12K or the Pixis 12K, and every single video I've seen from people talking about the cameras they bought, it's bricked on them, it started glitching, it doesn't turn on mid-take. I can't personally invest in a camera that would ever do that on a professional working environment. This is not something that anyone's gonna consider professionally. Like, they know this is the most reliable camera you can think of. Nothing we would not want to mess around and test a Ursa 12K on set just because of the resolution and possibly lose footage or be held back during set. The AD would kill us. Like, it's not something that I'm considering at all. I would never consider a Blackmagic camera right now over Arri Alexa Mini. There you have it. This is my update video on being an owner or operator of an Arri Alexa Mini the past 7 months. If you're considering this camera and you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, or you can just follow me on Instagram and send me a DM. It's much faster for us to be able to answer any of your questions that you might have. Like I said, I've had tons of DMs from people all over the world. So, quite honest, if you go back on my channel and you look at my first videos, I was so excited when I got an A6300 and a Zion crane gimbal. Like, that was the biggest thing on YouTube, and that was a lot of money to me back then. Like, that was really a lot of money. I remember maxing out my Amazon card to even get those 2 items, right? Like, and that was probably like only like $1,500 at the time, right? But it was a lot of money, and I couldn't believe that I even had those pieces of equipment at the time. To me, it was just like groundbreaking. And at the time, I didn't even know what Arri camera was. I didn't even think I was gonna be a DP. So with time, like, just don't, what I'm trying to say is don't rush into cameras like this. Don't rush into going into debt to get pieces of gear. Just work with what you have, learn the fundamentals of exposing, learn lighting, just rent gear that you might need. Don't worry about like trying to buy the next and biggest thing. I've had an FX3 for 5 years, about to be 6 years. Like, I don't see myself really upgrading anytime soon, even if a new FX3 comes out, or all these new Lumix or ZRs. Like, you know what, just work with what you have, learn the fundamentals again, and eventually you'll be able to start working on projects where you can operate and learn how to use Venices and Alexas and so on and so forth. So don't get caught up in the hype when so many new cameras are coming out all the time. Just stick to what you have and try to make the best of what you own. So thank you everyone for watching. If you have any other questions, feel free, again, hit me up, and I'll see everyone on the next one. Peace.